Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today, Nashville Congressman Jim Cooper. We're talking about what's going on in Washington in terms of the presidential transition and perhaps more help and relief from the virus. Congressman, in 2018, when you were reelected, you almost immediately announced that you're going to be seeking another term. Are you ready to do that again for 2022?
I am, Pat. I think the most important job we all face right now is to make sure that there is a congressional district for anybody to run in 2022, because the legislature could easily pie slice Nashville into small little Republican parts, and we've got to really make sure that doesn't happen.
Do you have any opportunity or any ghost of a chance to keep the Republicans from dividing you up into 3 or 4 different districts? And you don't even know what district you'd be running in for re-election, do you?
I wouldn't. Now, I hope they won't do it, because that would be a gross overreach on their part to destroy the state capital. Nashville is the best city in Tennessee. We're also 1/4 of all state tax revenues. And for them to chop that up would be to destroy a lot of Nashville's magic, regardless of who's the Nashville congressman, because Nashville has had its own voice in Congress since at least the days of Andrew Jackson. But, you know, they thought about doing this 10 years ago. They nearly would have done it, except for Speaker Beth Harwell, who is from Nashville and didn't want the embarrassment of her hometown being sliced and diced. But now it's a different situation. And with a close margin in the House of Representatives of only 3 people switching votes, even Tennessee Republicans will be under heavy pressure to grab all the seats in Tennessee for Republicans and not just have 2 Democrats left. Right now, the ratio is 2 Democrats, 7 Republicans. They could easily make it 1-8 or even 0-9. So we really got to be watchful for that, because the Republicans have their knives out for Nashville and for Memphis.
Given the situation you face and the uncertainty of the future, but assuming you want to stay in public service in the future, are you contemplating, have you been approached at all by any kind of opportunity to serve in the new Biden administration? Or are you committed to serving out your full term for the next 2 years?
I like working in the people's house. I love the people of Nashville and of Cheatham County and Dixon. These are my home folks. I'm a native Tennessean. I'm like a 5th or 6th generation Tennessean. And I think that's the important work that needs to be done. So I'm grateful to have the support of the people. No one in Tennessee history has ever gotten more votes than I did in this last election. And I actually ran ahead of the Biden vote by some 32,000 votes. So I got almost a little over 250,000 votes in the last election. So no Tennessee political figure in the Nashville area has ever gotten more votes in history.
This was another disappointing year for the Tennessee Democratic Party. They remain a super minority in the Tennessee legislature. The party chair, Mary Mancini, is stepping down after 6 years. Who do you suggest and who would you support to be the next chair of that party to bring the Democratic Party back to at least be competitive in the state?
And I really think it's not a question of who goes in at the top. I think it's about rebuilding the party from the grassroots up, because we have 95 counties in Tennessee and we need strong party organizations in every county. Republicans have done that. We need to match that. So I hope who's ever interested is talking about fundamental reform of the party so that we can start winning again. We need to be more like Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia. Those are the states that are trending purple, sometimes blue. We need to be among them.
And that's the reason Tennessee is not is still so deep red, because basically a change in party leadership at the top for the chairman would just be rearranging the decks on the decks of the Titanic, the deck chairs up there.
Well, you said it. I didn't. I think that fundamental restructuring is going to be necessary, because you need to be able to raise money in every county. You need to be able to really put forward winning candidates in every county. You need to be doing a lot of the blocking and tackling that many Tennessee Democrats have forgotten all about as we get distracted by national issues.
Well, is the problem that the Democratic Party nationally has such a bad reputation in Tennessee? Is that really the problem? I mean, we've heard a lot about recruiting good candidates. They say they do. We've heard about raising money. They say they do. They're not doing it right?
Well, as Tip O'Neill said, the former speaker, all politics is local. And you have to know the local issues, and you have to have the respect of local voters. That's really what it's all about. Lamar Alexander's definition of politics is getting the talk right. Democrats need to be able to get the talk right in all 95 counties in Tennessee. And we got a lot of work to do in that regard.
Congressman, we're facing a long, hard winter with the virus. People are still discouraged and tired of the virus. They're tired of the politics they see, the gridlock in Washington. What words of comfort or wisdom do you have for your constituents and for everybody else as we go through this, what's going to be still a difficult time before the daylight comes and the spring hits?
Well, I'm hopeful that Tennessee will be the best place to weather the storm. Now, economically, we haven't been as hard hit as some other states, although the Nashville tourist economy has been particularly hard hit. Tennessee state government has stockpiled almost $1 billion to spend on relief. They've been slow in spending the prior relief, so now they have a huge stockpile of money that could be spent to help the neediest among us. $1 billion is a lot of money. So essentially, the economic relief we would be and should be passing at the federal level. Tennessee's already got a stockpile on hand, a rainy day fund that they could be spending. So we generally have a well-run state in Tennessee. We're generally a low-tax state, but we all need to band together, help our neighbors, help feed our neighbors, because everybody's going to be hurting this winter. And we need to wear those masks so we can curb the spread of the virus, because nobody is going to be able to help if they're sick.
Congressman, very briefly, your brother, the mayor of Nashville, John Cooper, has asked Governor Lee for additional money. He's turned them down. You don't think the governor? You think the governor is maybe playing politics by not giving Nashville the money it needs?
Well, the state has given Nashville, I think, some $30 million, but he's got a stockpile already of $280 million, and he has to distribute that fairly across the state. But remember, Nashville is the economic engine of Tennessee. In many ways, Nashville is the envy of the nation. We got to return to the it city days. We got to get back to our tourist economy, and we got to make maximum advantage of these new vaccines when they're widely distributed, so that we can fill our hotels and fill our music venues and fill our restaurants, and that's when Nashville will return to normal.
Congressman Jim Cooper, thank you for joining us, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you, Pat. Good to be with you.
And that's Inside Politics for this week. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you here next time. Goodbye.